to be here with CII. I always know I'm with friends with CII, but I'm usually not in a room filled with ladies. It's great to see that for a change. So I'm glad to see all of you out here. Agree with everything you've said, Ashok, but you just said one thing I want to take issue with, which is I actually think what this initiative, Indian Women's Network, is going to do is going to be very important for the women, but it's also going to be very important for the corporates who are the members, whose women are members of this organization, and the benefits are going to rebound to those companies as well. So I think that's an important thing. I applaud CII's initiative in launching IWN. You know, empowering women matters at many, many levels. It matters to companies because it makes them more profitable. It matters to communities because it helps ensure that children's health and education will be taken care of. It matters to the economy because it encourages growth, and it matters to society because it fosters justice and human rights. I know that CII is launching IWN and has supported IWN with different points of view in mind. One of those is kind of on a CSR side. But the other, I think, is because CII's members know that they have a real business need to recruit, integrate, and encourage the development of women within their organizations. And that's where I think that that's going to keep things going from the side of the corporate supporting the organization. IWN should provide an excellent forum for sharing of best practices on how businesses can meet that need to really develop their women. So as I was thinking about what I might have to say and share with you today, I thought I'd talk a little bit about that overall issue of the importance of empowering women, but I think it's something everybody in this room today knows and agrees with, so I'm not going to focus or talk particularly long about that. Instead, I thought I'd focus on empowerment as an organizational need, as empowerment is something that individual companies need, that government agencies like my employer, the State Department, needs. That's something that's very important. I thought I would talk about that, and then, since it's what I know best, a little bit about what my organization, the State Department, has done for women's empowerment. Now, I am a big believer, I'm an economist, so I actually think that companies are generally out in front of government on things like this that are in their interests. So I'm not going to claim that what the State Department does is always the best practice, but actually we have managed to double women's representation over the last few decades. So I hope that at least some of the things we've done will be useful to you. If not, I'm not claiming best practices, maybe useful practices. In terms of women's empowerment overall, the U.S. government places an incredibly high priority on this. It's something that Secretary Clinton and President Obama in particular have emphasized. And that's because we believe it's one of the most effective strategies that exists to achieve greater peace, prosperity, and justice around the world. Just as one example, in the last 18 months, we have developed so many initiatives. One of them is a U.S. National Action Plan on Women, Peace, and Security. And it's focused on finding ways for women in conflict to have their needs met by increasing their participation in making and keeping peace, by strengthening their roles in decision-making institutions, by protecting them from exploitation, discrimination, and abuse, and by investing in their health, education, and economic opportunity. And I can tell you, I worked in the Democratic Republic of Congo for some time there, and in conflict, women tend to completely lose their voice and completely lose their opportunity to express themselves and to demand justice just at the time when they need it most. During her tenure as Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton was a very powerful advocate for the value of increasing women's participation globally, and at the same time, she was very evident proof of the effectiveness of women in senior leadership positions. So I think those two things are very important, and IWN offers that opportunity to present role models as well as advocacy, and that's something that I applaud. Secretary Clinton put a particular emphasis on promoting women's equality, especially in the areas of health, education, entrepreneurship, and business. And that wasn't because it's philanthropic or it's the way to be more just, but it's because report after report shows that there are linkages between women's engagement in a country's economy, in a country's politics and its society, and that country's improvements along a whole range of social indicators. The World Economic Forum Gender Gap Report shows that the countries where the gap between women and men is small, or where that gap is shrinking and progress is being made, are the countries that are the most economically competitive and prosperous. They're also the countries that are more stable. They're better environments for investment, for trade, and for growth. Promoting women's participation and leadership in the private sector plays a big role in closing the gap, the gender gap between women and men. That general evidence that a nation's prosperity is linked to women's empowerment, to the situation I said I was going to focus on of an individual company or organization.